A very good evening to all. A very good evening to all. Welcome to the 22nd edition of Coffee at DBG and on the 4th edition of Mobility. Before we make out or we find out different sessions about, we go on to different sessions, I would like to point out a few facts about Coffee at DBG. This is an open forum. This is mainly on discussions and interactive presentations over various technological trends. And this likely to happen on Wednesday of every month, and where technological experts, programmers, developers from different companies gather here together. And let's see what are the different sessions today we have for you today. First, we will begin with the Techbites session. In the Techbites session, you will be having recent technological updates over the last month, and followed by a small recap session. And then we all move on to the core coffee of the month, or that is the Swift programming, or the introduction to Swift, or the first industrial quality standard programming language. And as you all know, and followed by a demo session. Then, as you all know, this is an open interactive session. We would like to know whether there is any newcomers for this session. Do we have any newcomers here? I would like to know. Thanks. Okay. Can you just pass the mic? Please introduce.
I'm Shamsuddin, and I have been working with Drastic Solutions Private Limited since last 4.5 years, and as a senior iOS developer. And this is my first session, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Can you just pass to the next?
Hi, hello. I'm Rajeshri. I'm a junior software engineer. I'm developing Ruby on Rails.
Hi, my name is Neetu Sudarshan, and I'm working in Ruby software as Ruby on Rails developer.
Anybody else?
Srigant, Android dev at Ruby on Rails now.
Then, anybody else there? Somebody was there.
I'm Abhilash. Right now I'm working with GS Infotech. I'm currently in iOS development for the last 3 years.
I'm Jeetu. I'm working as iOS developer in in-app.
Anybody else over there?
Myself, Roy, working as iOS developer in in-app itself.
Kishore Raj from Paltra Transmedia, I'm Android developer.
Anybody else?
Ananya, iOS developer from UST.
So, are we all ready for the session, or do you have anybody else? Okay. Okay. Can you just? Can you just pass the mic?
Myself, Srideep Kesu. I am working with Cuburst as an iOS developer.
Myself, Nitin, working as lead iOS developer at Cuburst.
Myself, Nasif, and work as a senior iOS developer.
So are we all ready for the session? So let's begin or officially kick off this session. And first, I would like to welcome Mr. Aaron Elvin. He's going to hand over the Techbyte session. So please.
Thanks, Vinith, and good evening to all. I'm here to handle Techbytes. Techbytes is all about latest technological updates that happened the last month. And I will be taking you through some of the updates. The first one is HTTP standard set for its major revision after 16 years. Since 1999, HTTP 1.1 has been set as the standard for web server and also web browsers. Now, IETF and HTTP working group has formally announced that HTTP 2 specifications will be set as the new standard. And currently, this is in some editorial process before it's being set to the standard. And the standard is based on Speedy protocol, which was developed by Google. And some of the major improvement includes header file compressions and also multiplexing to support multiple requests from single connection, cache pushing, all resulting in a fast and effective web for both server and client. And our next topic is Google Wallet acquiring Softcard. Google has announced that they have acquired Softcard mobile payment technology, and also Google Wallet will be coming preloaded with Android devices from 3 of the 4 major US carriers. So, Softcard is something similar to Google Wallet and Apple Pay. It relies on NFC technology, that is near field communication technology. And also this news came up just 1 week after Samsung announced that they are acquiring LoopPay. LoopPay is also another mobile payment technology which does not rely on NFC, but it's similar to Google Wallet and Apple Pay. And recently, 2 days before, Google Senior Vice President has confirmed that they will be launching Android Pay for Android users to make their payment through their smartphones without make their payments through smartphones. And Android Pay initially relies on same NFC technology, but later it will be switching to biometrics devices, just like fingerprint scanner, etc. And Next topic is YouTube launching Kids app. As everyone knows, YouTube has lots of kid-friendly contents, but more risky contents are just one click away. So parents are not free to allow their kids to enjoy YouTube videos. YouTube has addressed this concern by releasing a new app for kids, which will be screening and dimming all the contents to kid-specific contents. And also, this app is having some parental controls, just like timer and optional search. And next topic is Siri. Yeah, the latest developer beta, iOS 8.3, is included with 7 more languages with Siri. And they include Russia, Danish, Dutch, Thai, Turkish, Swedish, Portuguese. All these are the new languages. Currently, the regular users won't be able to access these language settings as the current OS is a mobile developer beta version. And there are rumors that the new beta release will be by the mid of March. After that, the regular users will be able to access these language settings from Siri settings panel. And next one is OS X Yosemite 10.10.3. It's also a public beta, and it includes iCloud based photo application for Mac. That's a new photo app for Mac. This photo app will be automatically arranging all your photos, and you will be able to perfect these photos with the inbuilt comprehensive edit tool, and also the photos can be saved to iCloud with the help of iCloud photo library. And another major update in this beta release is Xcode 6.3 beta 2, and it will be having Swift 1.2, and also server OS X server, which is 4.1 version. And some other small changes are new emoji across the system, that they are supporting different skin tones for emojis, and also a two-step simple process for logging to Google account. And we can watch the video for Yosemite.
Simple.
That's all for today's Tech Bites. And I would like to invite Mr. Dibosnath to give you a quick recap.
Thank you, Eril. So I can see that there are a lot of new faces here, okay, and who haven't introduced yet. So how many of you are here for Coffee DBG for the first time? Okay. Okay, and you were not there in the start, right? Okay. So would you please introduce?
So I'm Shali Hassan. I work with Allianz Cornhill Information Systems.
Hi, I'm Mitty Matthew from Alliance Fund.
I'm Arvind Tinagar from Alliance Corner.
Thank you. So Coffee DBG is an open interactive session. It is not like one person talking and all others are listening. We are just here to have an interactive session on Swift. Okay, so we will be able starting it about in 5 minutes. So I just want the audience or the team to be more active and ask more questions, because as Swift is also a new language, everyone is new to Swift. And the intention of this Coffee at DBG is just to start a discussion on Swift to answer some of our common questions. Okay. To give a recap of what we had done on mobility, Coffee DBG, this is the 22nd edition, and it happens on every first Wednesdays. And it is just for the tech enthusiasts in Technopark can come together and discuss about the latest technology advancements. And initially, after Techbites, we will talk about some specific technologies. So in mobile space, we started, the first session was on December 23rd, December 2013. And it was on best practices in secure development, and hope most of you have missed those sessions. Then we had another session on making smart moves in mobility, where we discussed MBuzz, Android, iOS libraries, and app monetization. Then the next session was on April 2014, and it was on mobility operating systems, for enterprise mobile security, mobile application security, privacy concerns, and Firefox and touch were discussed. And after that, there was a long break, and on this break we have been discussing different JavaScript frameworks, including Node.js, AngularJS, Knockout.js, etc. So now we thought of why couldn't we come back to mobility, because Swift is acquiring a lot of popularity and there is a lot of news about Swift, but always people are hesitating to start using it. Okay, so what keeps you away from that? So we thought like we can have an entry level session on Swift today, and if required we can have a detailed session on Swift later. Okay, so I would like to welcome Arvind to take you through the session, and I would request everyone to be interactive and ask questions. Clear, that is, if you have some inputs, just give those inputs.
So thanks, Deepu. And so I'm Arvind Shashidharan and senior software developer in DBG. So I'll be presenting an basic intro to Swift. So before going into that, I want to just know how many of you guys have just started to learn Swift or implemented in projects already. So please raise up your hands.
So how many of you have started using Swift already? Oh, very good.
So it's nice to have all you here, and hope you can also make the session interactive and more supportive. And so what about others? Is there any hesitation that or pulls you back in learning Swift? If so, we can collect the queries and can come up with the answer.
So what are the questions that you have? That is, when you hear about Swift, there might be some questions in our mind. There is a new programming language that is coming to picture. So first question.
So please come up with the queries so that I can note it down and we can jointly together bring an answer for that.
Is it easy to learn? Yeah. Just note down the questions and then finally we can answer it together. That should be better.
Okay.
So is it easy to learn?
Okay. And any other queries do you have? do you mean using existing Objective-C frameworks? Okay, you're talking about using existing frameworks. Okay.
Objective-C frameworks and libraries, third-party libraries. Okay.
Okay. And any other questions?
I've read that Swift and Objective-C can go hand in hand. How much support is already available? Like if I'm trying to continue a project that I'm doing in Objective-C to switch to Swift. I mean, part of it is in Objective-C and rest of it is in Swift. Is it possible right now?
So that is similar.
There are two questions. And Swift can go hand in hand. That is, can work together. Second one, how much support is available if we start using Swift?
So the second question he asked is similar to that, like whether we can use existing libraries written in Objective-C, right? So it's should I write separate?
Yeah, you can write it separately. Both together. Can we do both together? So that was one question.
Why a new programming language, even though both programming languages share a common compiler?
So why Apple spent 4 years in introducing a new programming language, Swift, while
sorry, I didn't get that.
So why a new programming language,
Okay,
Swift?
why Apple spent 4 years, right?
Yeah. So why a new programming language? Okay.
What is the future of Swift?
What is the future of Swift? Whether it will be.
So you are asking whether the Swift will be the future of Apple software development.
Okay. What is the future of Swift? Whether we need to. Any other question? So because instead of going into that is syntax and things like that, there will be a lot of questions that need to be discussed and answered. Is it faster than Objective-C?
What about the version compatibility? I mean, I want to make applications for iOS 6 and iOS 7. Then.
So whether what is the version compatibility of Objective-C? Of Swift?
When it comes to a beginner, whether Objective-C or Swift is best to learn?
Okay. As a beginner, whether you need to learn Objective-C or Swift, right?
Yeah, because Objective-C, all the people are coding in Objective-C, and if a person is new to iOS development, whether should I learn Objective-C or Swift or both?
Easy way to convert the existing Objective-C code into the Swift.
Is there a way to convert the existing Objective-C code to Swift?
I think that's already a question there, like whether we can use the existing libraries in Objective-C.
Yeah, that you just add it as that question, and we have a lot of experts here, so we should try to find answer to all these questions. That is our common problem. Okay, so Sharath is here. Okay, next one. Any other questions?
Is Macintosh still required for development?
Do we need Mac for? So I have one question. So if I am an expert in Objective-C, I've been working for many years in Objective-C, and there is a new language that is coming in as Swift. So if I go and learn Swift, whether it is like I am starting with a new language or I am a beginner.
So you are asking whether if I'm expertise and you are should begin actually with Swift, right?
Yeah, is there anything like there is a new person coming in and coming into iOS coding and he is learning Swift, and I am an Objective-C coder. I have very many years of experience in Objective-C and I want to start Swift. So whether we both are same, or is there any advantage for me being a programmer for many years in Objective-C? So you can write it as expert, whether he will become a beginner if he go for Swift. So is there any more question?
will the support for the Objective-C stop in the near future?
So how long will Objective-C be supported? That is, will there be constant support for Objective-C in future? Yeah, future of Objective-C. Okay. Good number of questions for Aroma. So shall we discuss all these questions first? So first question is like, is it easy to learn Swift? So there are many people who had already learned Swift. So it will be better if we could ask their opinion.
Good evening. Myself Anish Kumar from Experion Technologies. I have used Swift in last project. I completed that project. I have 4+ experience in Objective-C. So when I start to learn Swift, if you are an expert in Objective-C or if you have an idea in Objective-C, you can learn Swift easily. The syntax is slightly different. There are same classes in Objective-C using Swift. So I think if you are an if you are familiar in Objective-C, you can learn Swift easily. But for newcomers, they have to study Swift. It might be a bit difficult first. I think for Objective-C developer, it might be easy compared to fresher.
So you consider you consider that if you are a newcomer, that is learning Objective-C is easier than learning Swift. Is that your opinion? Or Swift is little bit tough when you?
Syntax is something difficult for a fresher. If you don't have any experience in Objective-C or syntax is somewhat difficult, so you have to learn. If a developer is an have an Objective-C experience, they can learn it with little effort.
Okay. So any other opinion? These are.
Yeah, I'm Sharath. I'm also working at Experion Technologies. I have a slightly different opinion. So Objective-C is like almost 25 years old programming language, which is actually, I mean, almost 25 years old programming language. So it is, the roots are in C. So whoever comfortable with the base of C, C++, or those type of C-type languages, they will find Objective-C is very not very easy, but they can easily adapt the same concepts of pointers and functions and so many other things. And on top of that, Objective-C was like over the period of time, Apple has improved a lot with new concepts like blocks and so many other things. But when it comes to Swift, it's like a very well-crafted language. It has taken roots from different programming languages like Ruby, Python, and so many different programming languages. So if you look at it in a scripting perspective or scripting language perspective, Objective-C is pretty easy to learn. And also, so what attracts me to Swift is like it has very less verbose. When you write, declare a variable, you don't need to write everything all together. It's like, you can express things in very shorter form. The compiler is very intelligent to catch up even the, maybe you will come across those things like type inferences and so many other things. So it's less verbose. When you look at the code, it's pretty neat and easy to understand. But again, when a beginner learns Swift, if he has an experience, he has experience with iOS SDK, it must be pretty easy to learn. But if it is a totally newcomer to both iOS platform and Swift programming, then yeah, we have to take the fundamentals of iOS and plus the Swift.
So is it easy to learn? That was the question, right?
It's easy to learn for me, but Objective-C, I find it's like weird syntax. Just like you have the close button on the left on your Mac. So on Windows, it's on right side. So it's just like everything opposite. So you need to set your mind as opposite. So I guess Anish has been working with Objective-C for a long time. So maybe, yeah, that influence is there, I guess.
Maybe the person who has been working in Objective-C for a longer time might have thinking like it is very hard for a new comer. So is there any newcomer or a new iOS developer who tried Swift?
I tried to learn Objective-C first, but I found it difficult for me. So I moved to Swift, and when I see the syntaxes of it, it seems like the syntax of JavaScript. And I'm a Ruby on Rails developer, so it is similar to Ruby and JavaScript.
So for a Java programmer or JavaScript programmer, then it will be very easy for
It is easy. It is easy to learn.
So Swift is easier than Objective-C. Okay, for a new person who is trying, according to her, Swift is easier. Any other opinion?
I have started working in Objective-C since 1.5 year, and when I studied Objective-C first, I just it was very hard to learn. But when I come into Swift, it is just similar to an untyped objects like that, and I think it is easy than Objective-C.
Okay. So Swift is easy than Objective-C is the majority opinion. So Aromal, how could we conclude that?
My personal opinion also is like that Swift is easier to learn than Objective-C, but the thing is that we should also know about the existing APIs and frameworks in iOS so that we can start learning Swift easily. And that's a concluding answer. So we can
check that, right? Does it answer your question? That is, it is just like it is a perspective of which language you are proficient on, and if you are into Java or JavaScript or Ruby or something like that, Swift will be a better language that you could adopt quickly. And Objective-C, there is a bit strong C platform, whether it will be easy Objective-C. Yeah, why should we spend time on learning Objective-C when there is Swift? Okay.
So let's move on to the next story.
Okay.
So next question is like that, like whether we can use existing Objective-C libraries or we need to how we can actually use the Objective code in Swift. And a simple answer is there's a concept in Swift called bridging. That's how we can bridge the Objective-C files, and the Swift can directly call their functions. So we can see an example in the live demo also. So anything?
So one question in that was whether we can both can exist together. So answer is yes. Existing libraries can be in iOS can be used.
Yeah, I mean, like existing Objective-C libraries can be easily callable in Swift.
Okay.
To a concept called bridging.
Okay, both will coexist. Okay, that's fine. There was one more question that you concluded in there. It was like, is there any tools to convert Objective-C to Swift?
Because when the Swift was introduced, the only concept they have was to use bridging, and the compiler will at runtime will convert the code.
So there is no tools currently available. That is non-tools available right now.
No, there is no tools available right now, but if you look at it as a language, when you say easy to learn and all those things, but you have to take the advantage of the language itself. So the reason why Swift is introduced because of to take some of the modern compiler technologies, like in the way to the code generation and so many other things can be optimized with Swift. So even I have tried few code samples which I have been thinking in the old C way and write different functions and so many things. But all these things can actually compress into one line in Swift. So that kind of it's so powerful. So if you just take the existing code and even convert it, I don't know whether it's really useful. And even the language looks totally different. So that's and also we have all the old header file and M file concept, but we don't have that kind of concept here. So I don't think it's really worth doing.
So it is not worth doing it. And also when you are learning Swift, that is just give more focus on the features, language features of Swift, because that makes it powerful. So it is not like you should not be thinking in the old way of Objective-C coding. When you move to Swift, then Apple didn't have spent that 4 years to make you code like Objective-C, right?
So the point is like something we can just focus on the syntax of Swift, and if you need to use the Objective-C libraries, that's a we can simply use the cross-code bridging, and the compiler will do the job for us.
Okay, and there is we do not need to think about it. So if there is a project that is coming in and asking like, you can take it, no worries. So if there is a project that is coming in and asking that we have an existing project, can we switch to Swift? Then we have to do it again, or write the code again. There is no use for that. There is no need for that.
So it's not an easy thing to rewrite everything back to Swift. I mean, it takes a lot of time. So typically in our team, iOS developers has to develop competency in both Objective C and Swift, because when you sometimes we get a fresh project who are ready to go with Swift, but sometimes you get an existing project which has it's been developed for all the years, and it's not an easy job to convert to Swift. So then you'll have to go with Objective C also.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Okay.
So, we can move to the next query. That is why.
Why a new programming language? So why Apple went with the new programming language?
So what can be the reasons?
This is like
so
I'm hijacking. Yeah.
You can come forward.
Yeah. Again, the reason I already explained, like Objective C is very old, and it's been developed. I mean, it's been developing for last 20-25 years. So when you look at the in the programming language community, you can see a lot of similar programming languages like Ruby, then Python, and so many other programming languages. But these are really, it is like you are 10x more productive than writing a code in C. Like if you write code in C++ and write code in Python, you are 10x more productive. So there are a lot of newer compiler technologies and modern techniques being developed in the compiler community itself. But when you want to introduce those features in a language, it will take a lot of that language will look different. So then it will introduce a lot of problems like backward compatibility and so many other problems, and people may not use it. That is the same fate we have with C++. C++ has a newer extension, C++ 11, I guess. So, but hardly anybody use it because of the backward compatibility issues. This is more of a taking advantage of the newer modern compiler techniques, including the syntax and the code generation and so many other things. And there are certain studies we had. The algorithms executes faster on Swift. So that takes these code generation techniques are getting actually there's a curious thing like Swift that compiler technology was originally developed at Microsoft. So the person who developed Swift was an intern at Microsoft, and he successfully developed implemented these compiler technologies to various Microsoft languages. I mean, this C# and many other languages, but they were not so much interested. But Apple picked this guy up, and they implemented all this just in 4 years. I mean, in a language perspective, 4 years is a very short time. It's actually very short time to introduce a very powerful language in very shorter time. So that's actually a good thing happened.
And in addition to that, it has to work with the existing LLVM compiler and the client compiler. So there is no need to introduce a new compiler also. So it took almost 4 years for Apple to build out a new language. It makes easier for a programmer to learn and to easily use the syntax, and so we can better focus on logic other than the control flows, etc. So that we can improve the app performance. So we all know that Apple is innovative always. So it will always be, try to bring some new things, and which is different from others. So Objective-C was in the field for almost 20 years, and we also know that it's an extension of C, and still it is not a pure object-oriented. So and it is not more expressive. So these are all the reasons that Apple took 4 years to introduce a language so that it can be learned by everyone. So the next query is, what about the future of Swift? Do anyone have their own opinions?
So, what is the future of Swift? Let's wait and see. Okay. What is the future of Swift?
So, if no one have opinion, so in what I saw in Apple, the site is that it's already stated that it will be the future of Apple software development, and Objective-C will still be around, and but as time goes, if existing libraries get converted into Swift and more forums are available, then there's really possible extensions for Swift in the future than Objective-C.
So it is like Swift will be the future of course, a future of iOS development. And right now the community is not that matured, but there will be more support for that. And right now all the APIs and libraries are already converted, right?
The APIs and
Native things are already converted to Swift, right?
I mean, we can already call these APIs and libraries directly in Swift. Only thing is that we need to convert any explicit third-party libraries into Swift by using bridging.
Okay. So the future is very good for Swift.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Any other opinion?
So any other
Okay.
opinion to add? Okay.
So still the frameworks are written in Objective-C, right?
So frameworks and APIs are the same. We can call directly in Swift. But it's different with when it comes to the third-party libraries we write. We have to convert using the bridging concept.
So the native libraries and all those things are ported to Swift language, or is it still in Objective-C? Or C? You know? Yeah. Stand up. No worries. Just stand up. Yeah.
Okay, I guess. Yeah. The basic thing we need to understand about Swift is like Swift is just a layer. So it uses the same runtime what we have with iOS. So if you know iOS is iOS is a subset, or it built on top of or built from OS X. So it has this core Unix kernel. Then we have something like so if you look at this, you have a kernel and there is a runtime. This runtime is already built. So if you look at the existing APIs, whatever the iOS SDK provides, so this is based on the this doesn't change. Whether it's iOS 7, 8 or whatever, it doesn't change. And what Swift and Objective-C does is like you can make a call from Objective-C, you can also make a call from Swift. So that's the only difference. It's just like a compiler which generates the same code or the same the binary code or the machine code for iOS runtime. So it is not different. So when you say whether this is ported or not, the iOS kernel remains same. It is mostly written in C. For application programming, whether you can choose to have Objective-C or Swift. So I'm not sure if it really makes sense if we say it's ported, but it's not really ported. So when there are certain SDKs, they provide their implementation in Swift, but they also keep Objective-C their the port, not a port but a copy of Objective-C. So somebody who's gonna support Swift, they're gonna develop something new, fresh from from the scratch probably, or they just try to port the existing code to Swift. So one of the examples would be there. We used to have a framework called AF networking. So AF networking is something now we are not really using it. There is a Swift version of something similar to AF networking called Alamo Fire. You can check that on GitHub. So it's open source framework. So that it simplifies a lot of your API request and network calls with the help. So it's something. So we don't have a AF networking port of, I mean, Swift port of AF networking, but rather it's like something totally new, built using Swift.
So thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Shall I conclude that?
Yeah, so you can move forward to the next thing. Okay. So is it faster? Of course it is faster. It was already answered, so you can go to the next question.
So,
Version compatible. Yeah, it was already discussed. Yeah, you can check it. So version compatibility.
So regarding this version compatibility, Apple introduced Swift for from. Okay, I will say the answer for that. So basically, you know that both Swift and Objective-C works on a compiler called LLVM and Clang. So the foundation was Swift was by bringing improvements over this compiler, and so that it can so that it can compile fast than Objective-C. So the simple reason is that they have bring improvements over the LLVM and the Clang compiler. That is the reason to compile Objective-C or Swift. So it is. Sorry. Yeah, it compiles fast. Yeah, of course. I mean, even we bridge, the compiler will convert the code for us. And
Even if we bridge, it will be faster. That is no, it won't be because yeah. So if we bridge, it won't be faster.
No, because just like I mentioned there, like Objective-C framework uses its own generated code, right? So you are just making a call to the Objective-C, the framework written in Objective-C. So this just helps you to interface with the framework developed in Objective-C. So it doesn't make any changes. I guess it's an overhead, in fact, not exactly make you fast, but rather it's just like introduce an overhead as thin layer of bridging. So, so to answer that question about generate the same code, the API calls will remain same, but the binary code generated, the assembly instructions generated. But I understand that LLVM compiler technology produces highly optimized machine code. So that's why it makes it faster. So I don't know the much details of it, but that's how it says.
Okay. So to conclude this, we actually have to experiment with that, and as time goes, we will know whether which is faster. So it is not the right time because it is Swift is just evolving, and we may have some bottlenecks. All those things will be uncovered only when we use it.
Okay. Yeah. So next one is version compatibility.
So when talking about the version compatibility, Swift was actually introduced from Yosemite and iOS 8, but it is backward compatible to iOS 7.
Okay. Yeah. Next one. Let's go a little bit faster. Okay.
Okay. So
beginner Objective-C or Swift. Of course, we told that it should be Swift. There is no reason for going with Objective-C. So next one. Do we need Mac to develop iOS application?
Okay. So from my personal opinion, I have an Hackintosh and I have deployed apps in App Store using Hackintosh. So you don't need a Mac, you just need a Hackintosh. You can deploy in your own laptop, HP, whatever it is.
Okay. Next one. Expert, will I become a beginner?
So the question is like, if I'm expert, will I be a beginner?
When I start using Swift, when I become
any opinion on that?
Okay. Yeah, it is already said. He already said that is if you are an expert, it will be very easy for you to learn these things, and you already know all the Objective-C, these libraries, APIs, and things like that when you were doing Objective-C.
Yeah,
So
of course. The only thing is that for an expert, we just have to learn new syntax, but everything else are same. That is, the APIs and frameworks are same. So it won't be taking much time.
and you will always have an upper hand than a beginner. So don't worry about switching to Swift. Will there be future support for Objective-C?
So guys here have already learned Swift. So there we can simply say that the community so far is less mature, and there are sites like Stack Overflow and Apple Developer Site which also provide good support to Swift.
So here it is not for Swift. He is asking like that is it is for Objective-C. That is whether how long can we expect Objective-C support, right? That was the question.
Okay. As I said, Swift will be here around for some time, as long as and existing third-party libraries are converted to Swift, and there may be a point of time where no Objective-C can be used in
deploying
iOS projects. So there will be a time will Apple pull back the Objective-C from iOS development.
But it won't be very soon, but it will be in a couple of years or sometime in future. We can expect that. So future should be always Swift, right? Yeah. So anyhow, in the next 1 year, you do not need to worry about that. That is what their website says.
So shall we go to the basis of Swifts?
Yeah, sure. So I think that we have set the basement for that, and that is some of the questions that we had in our mind. That is whether we need to learn Swift or not are not there right now. So we surely want to learn Swift. So let's see that if there is we can move on to the syntax of Swift and other details. Okay, Abhilash.
Will there be any difference when using Objective-C and Swift in accessing memory?
In accessing memory.
Yeah.
So the concept we use in Objective-C is already there in Swift, but Swift one difference is that Swift will restrict the use of pointers. So the
memory usage will be less.
It will restrict the use of pointers, and it has better memory management. It has improved ARC when compared to Objective-C.
Okay.
So let's move to the session on Swift programming language. Okay. So
Apple introduced Swift in Worldwide Developer Conference in June 2014, and the first person who designed the Swift language was Chris Latner, and he was an employee of Apple. And after 4 years of development, Apple finally released the first version. So it released the first version for developing an iOS and OS apps. So not only that, Swift is, when compared to Objective-C, Swift is fast in the sense because it has improved LLVM compiler and client, and it is more interactive in the sense we can see immediate outputs on the go without the need to run the simulator. And the new Xcode has features for that, like playgrounds, REPL. REPL is read, eval, print loop. If there are people here who know about Python, there's a thing called Python shell. In that shell, we can actually type in the code and see the output immediately. So that is what called REPL. And Xcode playground, so it will allow developers to easily develop logic and see the output immediately. So Swift is also modern. It includes concepts like generics, closures, and it is easy to learn, and it is the syntax is much expressive. All this and most of the syntax ideas are inherited from the language like Ruby, Python, JavaScript, etc. So it actually a modern language. Okay. So it is safe because the compiler will be able to detect the type of the variable. That means it won't allow you to switch the I mean, like in execution, it don't allow to change the type. So it is type safe, or it's also called type inference. It can it can read the type of the value from the variable itself. And as I said, it has restricted access to pointers also. So all these things make Swift a safer language when compared to Objective-C. So if we are expert in Objective-C, you may have run with memory leaks and etc. But in Swift, there are a lot of more improvements. So those conflicts are no more. I mean, it will be less. So as I said, we know that Swift for a big for a expertise, the Swift will be Swift will look like clean and simple syntax. But for a beginner who also knows some other language like Ruby or Python, it will be easier for them to learn. And so the main thing is that the code will be expressive. You can see the code and understand from what is going on there. When you compare to Objective-C, it will be more easier. And of course, it has less codes when compared to Objective-C. And so this is what we thought we were talking in the questionnaire, is that it is backward compatible for iOS versions like iOS 7, and we can use existing Objective-C libraries to a concept called bridging. So these are the basic advantages of Swift, using Swift in our projects. So let's see a video which will be showing a demo on how to use Playground. So this was an example. Hello. So this was the example. The video shown was an example for using how to use Playground. As you see, the guy types in the code, and we can see the results immediately. Not only that, if you have used core graphics, we may need a simulator to see how the core graphics works. But we can also import the core graphics frameworks and see the output immediately in the Playground also. So it will be more helpful to the developers to focus on the logic and other than the workflows or syntax. So let's move to the basics of Swift. So this is how we declare constants and variables in Swift. So Swift have two keywords called let and var, and let actually allows us to define constants. And so if you take a look at here, there is no need to specify the type of the variable. The compiler will automatically understand that. So if you want to specify the type explicitly, then you have to use this colon syntax. For example, the variable introduced is int, so it have a colon variable followed by the data type. And to assign the value or initialize the value, you have to follow it by equal to and the value itself. So one more notable feature is that unlike Objective-C, Swift allows you to have Unicode names as variable names. For example, here pi is an Unicode character, and it can also be declared as a variable name, store values. So because it's an equivalent version of Objective-C, and this is we suppose, and so Objective-C developers already know how to declare variables, constants, and it's pretty clear that Swift is more expressive. So we can go to the next slide. So let's see how we can declare and initialize string in Swift. So to initialize an empty string, we simply specify the variable name and followed by an empty quotes, and it will become an empty string. So, or we can use the constructor of the string itself. And so whenever we create a string, if you want that to be immutable, that means we cannot change later. If you want to do like that, we can declare it using the let keyword. So whenever the variable is declared with let keyword, it becomes immutable. So if you try to change immediately in the Xcode itself, the compiler will pop up the error without the need to build. Like what I'm saying is that you don't need to build it, but the compiler will be popping out the error immediately. So because it is immutable. So this is an equal version of Objective-C that has two separate classes to make strings. That is one is NS string and NS mutable string. And mutable string is nothing but to make the string mutable. So let's see some basic operators in using Swift. They are plus. The plus can be used for concatenation also with strings. Like if you're familiar with Java, we can concatenate two strings by using the plus operator. So similarly, Swift can also do that. So the plus equal to. The plus equal to is a shorthand operator. We can like A equal to A plus B, we can write it as A plus equal to B. So the double equal to operator. We can check the equality of the values of the variable. Unlike, so for example, in Objective-C or in Java, the double equal to will check the identity of the object, not the value in that object. So in Swift, the double equal to is used to check the value of whether the values of the variables are equal or not. Similarly, the not equal to. So it will check for inequality. So we can. So there are also operators like less than, greater than, which can can be used to compare integers. When used with strings, it will alphabetically check whether it is before or after this alphabetic letters. So there's a new operator in Swift that is triple operator that's actually used to check this object identity. As I said, the Swift already has a double equal to operator to check the value of the variable, but so there must be some operator to check the. So there must be some operator to check the identity of the object. So means whether to check whether, suppose you need to check whether the two objects are equal, we can use that triple equal to operator. So we can move to the next slide. So let's see how operators can work with strings. So there are two variables, S1, S2, and S1 have with hello and S2 with Swift. So S2 double equal to hello, which means that S1 have similar value hello. So it will evaluate to true because both the strings are equal. And similarly, we can concatenate two strings using the plus operator. And plus equal to is a shorthand for that concatenation operator. And as I said, the less than symbol and greater than symbol can alphabetically check the order of the two strings. So hello is less than Swift, right? So it is returning true. And S1 is, of course, hello is greater than, hello is greater than Swift. So actually, alphabetically wise, it is false, right? It comes before that, so it is false. So we can also check the inequality using the not equal to operator. So is it hello equal to Swift? Actually, it is no.
So these are not. It was not possible in Objective-C to use these operators for string, but instead these operators can be used, right?
Yeah, of course. In Objective-C, in order to compare strings, we may use the functions like is equal to string, case inconsistently comparator function, and pass an enum type to compare the strings. So in case of Swift, we don't need all these functions, but simply use the operator itself.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next slide. So next thing is string interpolation. String interpolation is nothing but it's a way to construct new strings from a mix of constants and expressions. So let's see the example so that you can have better understanding. So here, for example, the values have A and B are 7. So when this statement gets executed, the values of A and B will be substituted for corresponding places, and the last expression will be evaluated and substituted in the string. So do you understand how this is called as something called as string interpolation? And for example, so the last expression gives 7 into 4, so the output is 7 times 4 is 28. So in order to achieve the similar in Objective-C, we must use the string with format operator, a function with this format specifier. This is an equal Objective-C version, which look more complex when you compare to Swift. Okay, so we can move to the next slide. These are arrays. So unlike Objective-C, we can simply initialize arrays using the square bracket for enclosed with the values separated by commas. So as we know, Objective-C support multiple types of values within arrays. In Swift, we can define an array of a specific type. Like if you want an array of specific type of string, we can declare it as a variable name followed by the type of the variable enclosed in square bracket. So now it becomes a string of arrays. So if you try to add an integer variable, the compiler will raise an error. So actually in Objective-C, the feature was not there because the Objective-C arrays are in Objective-C arrays we can add any type of data.
In array in Swift, if we declare a variable, for example, where a is equal to Swift, then if you want to add that variable in names, you can't add it. It gives an error. So I have tried in last project. You can't add in this type of array. So if you are declaring an array like within the square bracket of type string, we can't add a variable
Okay,
later.
I'm getting I'm getting the point. You see a different syntax, right? This is a new version of the array declaration that is released in table version of Swift.
Oh, right now with the new version of Swift,
This is the way to declare arrays.
Yeah, but we can use the Objective-C way. That is, we can use where names colon instead of using a string type. We can use a NS array. Colon NS array. It's an objective type.
Okay. We can also use the types of objects, right?
Yeah.
So we can move to the next slide. So these are dictionaries. We all know dictionaries are the values with the group of values that have a key, and we can specify. We can declare dictionary like the value key and value enclosed in square bracket, or we can specify the type of key and the value using the syntax like a square bracket enclosed with the type of the key and type of the value. So now it becomes a dictionary which can accept keys of string and values of string. So a similar syntax in Objective-C is like this, but you may note that dictionaries don't have a facilities to accept same type of. It can accept any type of keys and values. That's the only difference. But we can limit that in Swift by specifying the type and modifying the array. So here there is an array called shopping list X, and it's have an initial value X and milk. And suppose we need to access a particular value, then just index it. Like shopping list of 0 will be outputting X. And in order to assign a new value to an existing index, we just specify the index and follow the equals to statement and the value of the value itself. So if you need to add an element to the array, just use the shorthand operator. Sorry, and in the case of Objective-C, isn't the readability more than Swift? I mean, don't you feel like that? I mean, is it only me? I don't know. So, I mean, like, I mean, in Objective-C, it is just like as in I'm reading an English sentence. I mean, I can understand that in one go what is being mentioned there. So, isn't that more not expressive, but in the case of understandability, like as a programmer, if I had to like. The more the readability of that particular language, isn't Objective-C more readable than Swift? That's okay. I think you are an Objective-C developer. Yeah, that's right. So that's right. So okay. But a person coming from an Objective-C background or Java background. So the question was like this. From his point of view, it was looking. The arrays were looking better than Swift in Objective-C. So the reason behind is simple. If we are an developer in Python or JavaScript, we may feel easier the Swift way. And if you are an Objective-C developer and it's the first time he learns Swift, and it will be definitely looking somewhat confusing one.
Languages, it is just Swift because it is very clean.
Okay, let's see how we can modify dictionaries. We can simply specify an key and then followed by the value to add or modify an existing value. For example, for the dictionary number of flags have keys and snake and cheetah, and suppose we need to modify the value of cheetah, just simply specify the key and follow with the value. So now the dictionary will have a new value called for cheetah, and also it is possible to simply add the values by specifying the key and value. It will add a new value. For example, the spider is a new key and it is a new value. It will be simply added to the dictionary. That is the point is that it will check for presence of a key. If it is not present, it will simply add it to the existing dictionary.
I have just one question. Okay, in the last slide, you have something like a shopping list 3 to 5.
Okay.
Okay, there is only 2 elements. I meant 3, 4, 5 should be the one which should be changed. Last one in the Swift.
Oh, okay, I will explain that. So I will. So you are talking about this, right?
Yeah, that I just want to know whether fifth 3, 4 will be replaced with bananas and apples. Okay. Whether the fifth one will be made empty or left as it is.
So once we declare the array, like for I will explain in the.
No, I just want to know whether is it 3 to 5 means from third position to fifth position, is it going to replace like that or how it is?
Okay. So it will just replace the values for butter and chocolate spread, because
3 and third and fifth. Is it like that or third and fourth? How is it that syntax 3 dot dot 3 dot 5, or is it just for?
no, it will replace. It will replace the fourth and fifth value. It will not take 3 but 4 and 5. Okay. Okay, what are you saying that there's some other operator other than triple dot? We can use
I got it, man. I just wanted to know whether that triple dot and double dot, anything speciality with this or not, because I don't know about this. So I just thinking, is this for convention you put 3 dots or any specialties there? As you said, 3 dots means last will be omitted. Like that I'm asking. And one more question. You said about 3 equals, right? Object comparison for 3 equals.
Of course.
In what way it compares? Is it like in Java we have something called as hash code comparisons or something like that? How do we compare here? Or anything do you have to override or anything like that?
It's actually check the object itself by using some hash code itself, like in Java,
I think triple equal is comparing the variable type.
No, variable type. So
I mean, for example, if it is string.
No, they compare the variable instance. Yeah.
So you are saying that it will be comparing the variable type.
If both objects have the same instance,
okay,
it will be equal.
So basically, the thing is that if the both refer to the same instance, then
that triple equals I have seen in JavaScript. Okay, some places if you use double equals, it doesn't work for the comparison of objects. So there we use triple equals. So is it something like that, or that's what my question is.
So actually in Swift,
sorry. Okay. Fine.
I guess I'm not pretty sure about it, but in Objective C, with every object it has its own ID. So basically, I guess it's compares ID. But here that triple dot triple dot, I guess it's an error. It should be double dot. It should be 3 double dot, then banana and apple. Triple dot includes the last one also.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but
so can we see the example now itself so that we can?
Anyhow, we will be having a lab. We can experiment with this.
In Java,
okay,
we have ellipses. Here new features, if you know, means it'll be very easy to explore and find it interesting. That was my interest.
Okay. So we can finally see an example of using this dot operators and final demo also.
So this thing in the live demo session, we can just experiment it and see that whether it is so, and we can surely find the answer before the coffee and DVG.
Can I add to that? So we have two types of range operators, and this 3 dot is called close range operator. So 3 dot 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 5 means 3, 4, and 5, and another operator is called half open range operator, and it's dot dot and a less than symbol. That means 3 and 4. This one is wrong. Actually, we need bananas, apples, and one more value. I am not sure. I think.
So to avoid the confusion, I think we can just see the output now itself.
Oh, you want to see it now itself?
Okay, maybe we can avoid the confusion now itself.
Okay, yeah. Just go with the demo. Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it quickly. Yeah.
So there is online compiler available for Swift. I'll show you one.
So just update it as you want and just see the result.
So I think it's clear now. It will be replacing the last two values, right? Just replace the butter and chocolate spread. Two, 4, 6. So so
It doesn't need to be the same number of elements we need to replace. If we were to give 3 to 8, then the elements from 3 to the index 8 will be replaced with the new elements.
It's like cutting that array. It's not going to replace in between and rest of. Okay. Just you're going to cut off the second that part from 3. It it doesn't make that sense, man. I just want to replace in between 2 means it's remaining gone, right?
What happened before that?
Okay, man. I don't know. Seriously.
So we can know that what happened each time. Yes.
You said it.
Two dot dot 4.
Actually, it's taking out that range of values and replacing it with these two values. That's
Okay,
all. It's as
so
simple
2
as
to
that.
4 is replaced.
2 to 4 is 2, 3, 4. The elements at the index 2, 3, 4 are taken out and
so it
replaced
is
with
removing the
elements.
elements, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But what I was speaking, what I was saying to him is that the last two values will be replaced. That I always and okay. It also removes an element like. Okay.
and replace with this array inside.
So would someone else explain the same thing again?
See, if I see that, I can say if you put it, it's just going to replace the second one with this cut. It's like cut this part and put this, fill this. That's how it looks. Sorry? That's what it will be replacing only second one with these two. That's how it looks.
We can have a prediction contest. Okay. So two dot two, right? Double dot two. So what will happen? The two triple dot two. What will happen? So second element will be replaced with bananas and apples. That is what you are telling. So it will become 6x and bananas, apple.
Instead of milk, it will be bananas and apples. Instead of milk, it will be after that, everything will be the same as the previous array.
Okay, just see 2 2. Yeah, it should be 6 bananas, apple, and rest of the thing should be. So you want me to remove 4? You just go and do it. Come first. Just do it. Yeah.
If you do this, this 4 will go. It is the second index. If you say 0, 1, 2, instead of floor, these two things will be there.
So just put 2. 2. So instead of 4, yeah. Instead of floor, bananas and apple. Okay. We'll just start replacing from the index itself, right? From the start.
His explanation is right, which means whether the range you are specified there will be removed, and whatever you specified on the right will be replaced. That's it. So if you look at here, earlier with the 2 to 4.
Yes.
That's the wrong range.
So the following index must be always getting right. From that, what error you want to see? Just 2. So.
Then put the shopping list as NS array.
Shopping list as NS array. It's already 6:30. But it's good. That is it. We just need to kickstart it and have a basic understanding. That is the intention of this session, right? Okay.
And try shopping list of 2 at the second last.
So it's actually an error, right? So it will be enough. Okay. So conclusion. So you say the conclusion.
See, it's a new thing. What I feel in different languages, just truncates it and puts it in. Means other places I have not seen like this truncation and putting these things. It's always different. This is a good thing. What I see. Yeah, replace truncate both same man. Truncate it and put a new one.
So it will start truncating and replace the new values, right? So let's see how we can explore it. Recently came back and have our own. So it's kind of map here, like in Java map.
It's here. Like okay. Here, keep. Okay. Let's go to tuples. So tuple is nothing but a ordered collection of values that can be of any type or it can be type specific. The main thing is that it with the help of tuples we can return multiple values at a time. And it's actually
took on from Python, and the major idea is that it's allowed to have a function is allowed to have multiple return values at a time. So, for example, say I have a variable called name, and it is a tuple must always begin with an parenthesis, and the values are comma separated. So if I need to unpack them, we can just unpack as this. So the phrase will be assigned to first name, and the Lateiner will be assigned to last name, and this is called tuple unpacking.
So this tuples are something new which is introduced in Swift, and that is in order to use that we need to unpack it.
Yeah,
and we cannot use the variable directly. If you use it directly, it will just.
So if we need to access the variables, first we have to unpack them. We can use it.
Okay, so we can pack multiple things together and return it in from a function, and we have to unpack it and use it.
Okay.
So that is something strange. That's something.
So there may be scenarios.
How?
Custom classes or NS dictionary or NS mutable array.
Okay, we can use custom class, but however we need maybe we in order to access the variable or actual value we need to specify the object, right? I mean the in our object the variables.
NS numbers, and we can assign integer strings or any numbers.
No, how will you return? I mean, how
We
will you
can
access it?
We can return it as an NS array, and same as we do here, we can.
So how will you
unpack
accessing it? That's the question.
Here you in order to cast the object, right? That's what we are saying.
So the way you have mentioned is like you can make use of the existing data structures or collections to mock the tuple, but not exactly it's a tuple support. So this is something identified by the compiler itself. So it's a built-in language support, and with the built-in types, right? So this unpacking is something like you have two variables there, then just something like split it and download it. It's as that easy. Otherwise, what you do, name dot first name equal to first name. So you don't need to explicit to right. You don't need to specify that this one comes to this variable. You don't need to write that. You can just write it in an order, and which will follow the same the order you have there in the tuple itself.
So do you understand? So we can.
Sorry.
While unpacking, can we give nil as a parameter in here? We have given first name and last name. Can we pass nil as a parameter for that?
Nil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand nil. But where you want to pass that?
Instead of last name, if we don't need that variable,
You don't need to specify it.
just we can first name equal to
then
name.
first name will come there.
Okay.
Yeah.
First variable
Yeah.
will come. So if we need last name, only the last name.
Yeah.
If you don't want last name, you have to put question mark in last name. That is, after string type, you have to put a question mark. Then you can pass a nil. Yeah. No. When you pass that is where name is equal to, you can pass nil comma Lateiner. So that for that you have to use name as an first name as a optional by placing question mark. Yeah, question mark. There's a new concept in Swift called optionals. So we can check nil type when we get a that is value of an object.
Your question is like whether the variable can accept nil values. Is that okay? So why can't the pattern sense? Okay. So you're talking as of it was in the future, sir. So it was a future.
So do you want to see it in the playground?
Yes.
Is it like that we have in
Yeah.
SQL
Just
thing
go
like
ahead, show it to
prepared
them.
statement, question mark, inserted? Is it kind of that and all?
Okay, let's see. Let's see. So this is the live demo. Okay. Tahir, where is Tahir? No live demo for you. He's the one who want to take you through a live demo of a to-do app so that you can see from beginning to end. But let's see. Okay. So what is the question? That is just up to the first name is required, right? The last name is not.
The tuple has so many variables. You just need the first one. You don't have to.
It's called pattern matching. Match the pattern, and you actually match the pattern of the tuple, and you actually give underscore or a wildcard character to the parameters you want to ignore.
If there are so many variables in that tuple, you just need the first one. You don't have to just simply place all those variables.
Or I think you can just put name.0 to just take out the first one. Or
Yeah. So what
it's not arrays index.
It's called a position.
No, like, what is the advantage of this? I mean, is there any particular advantage? I mean, I can, we have to processing wise.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Because I can implement the same thing using an array, and I can take that also. Because here we have to use unpacking and also. I mean, there are some extra steps.
I will give you an example. Like when you return an HTTP error code and an error string. So how do you do it? So you'll have to define a a structure or class to hold both error code and error string, right? So that's something you can do it on the fly.
So backbenchers has no questions.
This can contain different type of values. In fact, array can also.
Such kind of things need not be implemented in a tuple. An array class must have all those kind of things. For example, enumerable and things. Such modules should also be mixed in with an array class. For the compiler, its performance is very high for a tuple.
Okay, that's fine, Aroga. Let's go to the next one quickly. So it's similar to understand if statements. So if you guys have any queries, it's easy to understand. It's all the same syntax. So only thing is that in the absence of an parenthesis, we can also use parenthesis, but we can omit that also. So let's see how switch statement can be used in Swift. So unlike Objective-C, where we need separate cases for every case to check, we can actually combine the cases like we can specify multiple cases in a single line of statement. And so you can also see that the break statement is absent here. So it is by default implicit, and so if there's a need to execute the following cases, you can just put a fall through syntax or fall through keyword, so that it will execute this both cases. So any doubts in? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Move fast. Okay. So next move to the next slide. So unlike the switches in Objective-C or Java, it can also evaluate the string as cases.
And for example, the CEO, if we pass Steve Jobs, it will be executing this case statement, and Satya Nadella, and so the point is that we can also pass string to the cases. Okay. So let's see how loops are declared. So it's similar. It's easy, like to a language like Java, or it's similar in Objective-C, right? Like it's the only thing is the absence of parenthesis. So okay. Go to the next slide. So the other thing is that there's a foreign syntax for looping over the collections or even the strings, and it will iterate over each values in the arrays or each characters in a string. For example, if you execute this loop, it will iterate over each characters and print out the each character. And if you want to iterate over an array, we can simply use the foreign syntax and print each array elements and or make use of it. So anything to be answered? So we can move to the next. So this is something similar to the we can suppose we need to loop between a range. We can use the syntax the operator is like similar as you said in arrays. It will be evaluating from 1 to 5. It will also take 5. So if you want to take from 1 to 4, then we need to use an open range operator that have an less than symbol instead of this place. Yeah, of course. This another way of doing that. That's
when you use something like count, for example, count is like 1 plus than the index, right? So you don't need to really -1.
So
you can
we may not
like
access the invalid location. So can go to the slide. So we can also, the foreign statement can also iterate over the keys and values. For example, the dictionary here, for the values and keys and values here, the animal name will iterate over the keys, and lecon will iterate over the values. And we can actually have the values iterated. So, but in Objective-C, there is no such concept. So we have to directly access the key and take the value. So please go to the next slide. So in Swift, there's a variable called optional variable that allows us to store a nil or an value. Optional variables are variables that allows us to store nil values also. So without optional variables, there is no way to store nil values for variable. So we can, either it can, so there may be a case the values can be nil. So if a variable need to store or to be none, it has to be specified optional variable. Okay, and the syntax is like variable name followed by the type of the variable and then question mark. This is called optional operator. And so when the variable is declared with the optional question mark, it becomes an optional variable. So actually, when the variable is declared as optional, and now we have to use the value, first we have to unwrap it. That means to access the exact value from the variable, we have to first unwrap it. So to unwrap the exact value, we have to use exclamation mark. Please just remember that whenever you are declaring an optional variable and wherever you are using the exact value, first you have to unwrap it.
Use optional variables?
So in Swift, there's no way where variable can be nil by default. So if you want specifically define a variable that can be nil, then we have to use optionals. So it's let's see how functions can be used. So it has this very simple syntax: the keyword fun followed by the function name and the statements within it. So let's see the function with parameters. It have so we can note that this is the variable name and this is the type of the parameter and defines the type of parameter. So for example, I have to print pass a string value, then the variable name must be followed by a string type. So an equivalent OGC version is like this. So it's a keyword. So in order to define a function, you must start with the keyword form. Yeah, of course. If you have two parameters, then we can simply put comma and name of the variable and the type of the variable. So next comes the function with default parameter. This is an when compared to Objective-C, this is somewhat new in Swift. Than that a function can also have an variable that can has default values. So, sorry, no, it's not an Objective-C, but it's new in Swift. So, suppose there are situations where we can assign a default value. We can use this syntax, and it doesn't care about the values passing. So if there is no need to pass values, we can simply use the syntax, and don't be any problem. So next is function with return values. So to define a function with return values, first we have to look on the syntax like function function declaration function skeleton followed by the type of return value. This is how we can specify the type of return value. So this means that the function returns a string value, and these are the parameters. So it is returning a string value. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So as I said, tuples is something that can be used with functions to return multiple values. This is an example for that. So this function actually accesses two variables, first name and last name, say return as a tuple itself. So we can actually unpack like this also. Like name will be having two variables like name dot first name, name dot last name. That's another way of unpacking it. So
yeah, go to next. Done.
Okay. So okay, we can move to the left side. So if you are familiar with Objective-C, there's something called code blocks in Objective-C, and the equivalent option in Swift is closures. So the syntax of closure will first look, it will be difficult, but it's actually easier to learn. So it will just have an initially it will so for example, if you define the main advantage of closure is that it can be passed to the functions and can be used as callbacks. So I think Objective-C guys can easily understand what's the use of closure is. So unlike creating interfaces and define override and to implement the function to get the callbacks, we can write the code from that place. We can define a callback from the place where we write the code. So it's like what I'm trying to say is that we can define a callback from where we write the code. And closures are best example for that. So it will be difficult for you to learn what is closure initially, but if the syntax is very simple. So do you want me to show a demo, or shall I move to next? So for a better understanding, I can start from.
So my question is whether we need to go for more complex things or just check some demos on this. I think this is a good start for you, right? And so how many more items are there?
So I just want to let you know what are the basic options available in Swift.
Okay, so we can just quickly go through those things,
So and we can finally have maybe if you have time, we can have demos of it.
We can decide whether we need to have a live demo or not, or we can plan for another session of Coffee DBG with more interactive
Examples.
session and with live demo.
So this more let's say. So as I said, the closures can also be passed as parameters. So closure is something, a set of code that can be passed to functions and it can be used as callbacks. For example, here, this is a closure. The code enclosed in curly braces, and it can be passed as a parameter to the function. So this is the variable name, and this is the type of that closure. It indicates that closure doesn't have an values, passing values or no return types. The empty braces note that the closure does not have accept values and does not return anything. If you want a closure to accept values, we have to define the type of the variable passed, and if you are planning to return some values, we should also specify the type of values here. So the first parenthesis is used to specify the values passed, and the second parenthesis is used to specify the return type. So in here, there is no parameters to be taken. There is no return type, so it's look empty. Okay. So for example, suppose there's a function which accepts an integer variable and then closure. If I pass to this function and then executable closure, we'll just substitute the closure here. So done.
So 4 more minutes for you.
Okay. So please move on to the side. So of course, in every object language, class must be an important member. So it's a simple syntax, right? So it have an variable, class variable also. It have an member functions. We can declare member functions and like using the function func keyword, and it can also have the variables. So like Java, we can use self. In Java, this is called this, and self is called this, and here it is called self. So this function will simply, this is a constructor. This is how we can initialize the constructor, and we are passing a value 4, and now we can call the member function. Let's get area to get the area of the square, of course. So okay. That was not included in the scope because it was a basic Swift, so the guys here may get confused. So since you asked, I can say there are 3 access specifiers: private, internal, and one more thing is can you know that. So there are 3 different access specifiers. One is to so if you want something to be within a file and access, and it's not accessible to other file. It's not class. Please note that it is not class. It's a file. If you want to access variable within the file and make it not available to the other files, we can use private. Okay. It is not a class. It's a file. Please note.
We can create a different class in a single file.
Yeah.
We can declare it's a private. It is not accessible to the other classes in a single file.
Yeah, I understand. So if the class is on the same file, then the private variable is accessible, right?
No. If there is if there are different classes in a single file, if you declare a variable as a private for a particular class, you can't access in other classes in a single file itself.
So
so that I think that scope related things we can take to an advanced section, and where we could see the live demo. Okay.
But I saw an example, so I.
Yeah, I have.
So if you.
Okay.
Return different classes in single file and use a private that is private variable for each class. It is not accessible by other classes.
Okay.
So normally in the tutorial it is said like it is accessible within the file, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we have to check it and, with the real demo.
It's internal. Internal in the sense it should be accessible to all modules. So not all modules, to all the files in a module. Sorry. No, internal. Wait.
Side will be accessible outside the class, right?
No, as already said, the Swift deals with files. I mean, it's not with classes or.
I think I remember it as being accessible outside the class. Not
You create an object called
if you create an instance of Square, you can access it up. For example, you can access s dot side.
Okay. So I think that is after this session, that is after officially concluding this, that is those who have time can stay back and get clarity to all these questions. Okay, so we need to wind up the session on time, and then there is Aramal and others will also be still available, and you can find the answer. If you have time, you can find the answers for all the questions.
So I will say frankly, since Swift is a new language, we also just started to learn Swift, and also we also have the same questions that you have. So the intention was to make you clear the path so that you can actually start learning Swift. So
Okay,
this
that's
is not
fine.
something we are the expert and you are a beginner. You're also a beginner, so we also.
Yeah, it doesn't have a concern. It is just like that. Yeah, okay. That is understood. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay. So and another concept in Swift that can be applied to class is that computed properties. So there can be a variable that can be that have a computed value at a time. For example, here array is a variable that will have a computed value all the time. So if you are assigning an side, the variable area will always have a computed value. This is called computed properties, and it can be done with the help of getters and setters. So whenever we get the values of the variable area, it should be always the square of a side, right? So whenever we try to access the variable area, we can override the getter and return as square of the sides. So similarly, we can override the setters also. If you pass a value to the setter and the square, for example, if you pass a value to the area, it should be the square. Now the side should be the square root of that, for example. You understand this concept? So here's an example. So first of all, suppose we pass initialize with the square with 4, and now the area becomes, when you print out to area, it becomes 16. So the value of that variable is actually computed internally. So this is called computed properties. So similarly, since this example have setters also, if you assign a value to area, the setter will be overridden and the value of side will be the square root of the area. So you understand with the examples, or?
That is something really interesting, but I think that is we need to look at to more details after this.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So I like Java and obviously like class functions in Swift. We can also define class functions by preceding the function with the class keyword. So if you precede a function with a class keyword, it becomes a static function that can be accessed without any objects. You can simply call by the class name itself. So for example, greeting.morning. No need to initialize the object. Okay, sir, please move the next slide. So we all know that generic is something that it allows to create reusable functions and classes that can handle any type of variable. Suppose we need to write a class or function to handle any type of variable, whether it's a string or it's an integer. We can instead of writing separate classes, we can directly use generic classes or functions. So we can see an example. For example, suppose we need to write a function to swap two variables. Suppose and we so for what we normally do is that we'll be writing swap function for integer and swap function for string, etc. Right? In a normal way. So instead of that, we can use generic so that it can operate on any type of variable. So this is an example of generic functions. So whenever the syntax function name is followed by this type of syntax, it is a generic function. So which means that it can the parameters can be of any type. So a variable A is of any type, and B is also of any type. So for example, like we call it as swap generic 1,2, and like try to print it out, it will be 2,1, because it also, since it is generic, it can accept integers. It also can accept strings. So it becomes a generic one. So any doubts in it? Okay. Yeah, like as I said, generic. There are also generic classes where we can, for example, a simple example is like creating a stack. Stack, we all know, it's a collection of values. So it can be of any type. To define a class of any type, we can simply use the generic classes. So here is the generic syntax, and to now we not to accept a variable of any type, we need to specify as generic, and we can actually, this is an array of generic type that can accept any values. They are simply pushing in values in the array, and the function pop will return a value of any type. So this becomes a generic class too, because it can accept values of any type, that string, whether it may be a string or integer or a float, whatever it is. So for example, this is a stack of strings. This is the way to declare a stack of strings, and this is the way to declare a stack of integer. So okay, protocols. And so if you're for Java guys, the protocol is similar to interfaces, and for Objective-C, protocol is it's the same. I mean, for Objective-C guys, the protocol is the same as in Objective-C. But the only change is that there's no need to specify the @ or the end, colon, etc. It's simply same itself. So it can be implemented by a class, and so it's interfaces in Java, protocols in the case of Objective-C. So extensions. One of the feature in Objective-C or Swift is that we can extend, not inheritance, we can extend an existing class and add some functions or a functionality to that class. So which means that we don't need to inherit that classes. For example, if you need to add an function to an existing string class, we can use extensions. For example, a function to convert the string into integer. And we have to just precede the base class by extension and write the function. So whenever we're using it, just now, which means that this base class will have a function called getIntValue. I know these concepts are new to the person who didn't have a chance to learn Objective-C or Swift. But if you are willing to do so, we can provide a session on how to implement in iOS apps. Yeah, of course, category in Objective-C. So one point to note is here that structures can also have functions like classes, and it is also having an initializer. So it was a bit confusing for me, but I came to realize the difference with the following example itself. So unlike the structures in C or Objective-C++ or Objective-C, the structures in Swift is allowed to have its own member function itself. But the difference can be seen here. So so I'm going to create a structure with name variable, that is string, and suppose I have an initializer for that. So now consider I'm going to create a structure variable like this. So passing in initialize value Bob. So I try to assign this variable of the same type. Now again, I'm going to change the value to Sue. So if you try to print that, both are different values. So, but in the case of class, it won't be the different, but it will be the same, because classes are classes are referenced, not copied. But in case of structures, it will be copied. That's the only difference. So that's more about Tahir.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is there any questions? So, is it good for today? Right? So, how many of you want to go for a live demo? Okay. So, those who want to go for a live demo can surely stay back, and we will have a live demo, of course. And is there any other questions for you to Admal? You have a question? Okay.
Actually, you didn't mention anything about optional binding. Is it in live demo?
Optional binding.
Optional binding?
Optional binding example, right? Okay. So, do you want to show me a demo on optional binding? Right?
We can do that demo. Okay. So, for others who are in a hurry, because it is very much late for most of you. So, how many of you want to leave? It's delayed. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So, just for information, thank you, Aramal. And just for information, this Coffee DBG actually it is also intended to make speakers. So, some places where people teach these programming languages, but the funny fact is that none of those teachers are qualified to teach those things, because they become teachers just because they didn't get a chance to go for a job in any IT company or get a program. They should lack the basics. That is the reason why they are not getting chance for as programmers. Okay. So what happened is that those type of institutions, what happened is like the people will just learn some keywords or some technical terms, not the actual coding. So the intention of Coffee DBG is to bring speakers from the actual community who works. So here the problem with the course is that they know everything, but they lack communication skills. They always hesitate to come as a speaker, because they always feel that, oh, my job is just coding and I cannot speak. So Coffee DBG is like anybody who would like to speak can come here, just do some demonstrations and then become speakers, so that you will be able to share your knowledge to others. This knowledge sharing was not happening here before, and right now it is good that we have very good response to Coffee DBG as well as the technology events that happens in Techbites as part of technology focus group. And last week we had a technology focus group event and how much attended that? Okay, good. So when we started around 2 years before, when we started it, it was said like, if we conduct technology sessions in Technopark, there won't be any participant. People won't come to participate. So there is no need for starting such groups here. So why? Because everyone is coming there to do 8-hour job in a company, and how could they get time to go and attend some technology sessions? And last week it was great. I was completely filled in the time ago. It was a capacity of 165, and we put 50 extra seats, and then still people were standing and attending a session, which proved that and next we will be starting with live demo. So those who are in a hurry, that is, you can take a leave. Okay.
Hey, hi guys. I'm Lakshmikant. I'm sorry that I wasted your times by asking many questions. Okay, I'm sorry for that. But I never come and speak like this. But today I'm saying, see, I'm basically started with Java development. And then recently I'm working on meme stacks. I know C, C++ as because I'm from CS. So about iOS, if you ask, before coming here, I don't know anything. So, but with knowing this JavaScript, meme stack, and this Java things, I felt it's very easy. If that Objective C was there, then I would be just keeping quiet. So it's very easy, and I felt very interesting. But if I start also, I'll be very going with a full speed. So I thank him.
Thank you.
So, good evening. So, if you guys on the back can come forward. Okay. So, thanks Aramal for your wonderful session. So, thanks for making it much interactive. So, now you have seen some basic syntax and basics about Swift. So, let's go for a live demo. So, this demo is just intended for beginners to try out Swift. I'm not going to do anything in detail, but it's just to encourage beginners to try out Swift. Okay. So what I'm planning to do today is to create a to-do app. So users will be able to create a task. It's a tabbed application. So we'll be having two tabs. One is to add a task and one is the listing tasks. Okay. So let's get started. So first thing is to create a Swift application. So how many Objective-C developers are remaining? Can you just please? Okay. So for the rest, this is how we create a new project in Xcode. So just click Xcode and create a new Xcode project. Okay. So we have some templates here. We need a tabbed application. So I'm selecting tabbed application and I need to put in a name. Give me a second. Hello, is it audible? Hello? Is it audible? Okay. So I'm just going to type a name. It will be Swift demo. And the difference between a Swift project and an Objective-C project, you just need to set the language settings here. See? So I'm creating a Swift project. So for those who are not familiar with Xcode, this is how an Xcode project looks like. So this is called the project navigator, and we can see the files listed here. This file is the app delegate. App delegate is the entry point for the app. That means this class will be called first when an app launches. Okay, and this function application did finish launch is the first function called. So these are the files which control views called view controllers, and this is the storyboard. This is where we handle the UI. So for Objective-C developers, you can notice that the .h and .m files are missing and they are replaced with the Swift files. Okay. So for our current demo, I need a task manager class. So I'm going to create a new Swift file. So creating a Swift file for iOS, and I'm naming it as Task Manager. Yeah. So I've just created a class called Task Manager. So I'm going to create another data model class called a task. So this is our task data model class. So task will be having a name and a description. So I'm going to create new properties, two properties, one for the name and one for description. So I'll put it as task name, and I'm initializing it with empty string. So as Aramal said, to create a property, this is a variable property of name, task name, and of type string. Okay. But since I am initializing it with an empty string, I don't need to specify a types explicitly. It will be inferred automatically by the compiler. Okay. So I'm going to create another property called task description. So we need an init method. So init method is going to have two parameters, a name of type string and a description of type again string, and the init method is going to set these values to the properties. So this completes our task data model class. So it has two properties and an initializer method. So we can come back to task manager. So task manager is going to handle a set of tasks. Okay. So I'm creating an array called tasks. Here I need to set the type because I'm not initializing it with anything. So I'm going to create an array of tasks. Okay. And I'm initializing it with an empty array. So now I'm creating a new function with the keyword func func, and it will be add task. It will take two parameters, same string. So what this function does that is that so it will create a new task and add it to the list of tasks. So I'm just doing tasks dot append. Task dot append. So this is the initializer method we wrote earlier. Okay. So I'm going to pass the name and the description. Okay. so yeah, that's much about task manager. So for our demo, so think about it like this: a task manager is going to handle all the tasks. So we just need one task manager. We doesn't need to create more task managers. So I'm going to write a singleton pattern. So anyone who doesn't know what a singleton pattern is? So you all are familiar with singleton patterns? Okay, yes. Okay, so writing a singleton in Swift is as easy as creating a global variable, global constant. Yeah, I'm creating a private let. So this line does what this line does is that it creates a global constant object called task manager. Okay, so I'm going to write a class variable called shared manager of type So any questions? Any questions? Nothing? Okay. So we can move forward for the UIs. So for the UI, this is all about the model. Just need a task and a task manager. So for the UI, so for a tabbed application, Xcode has already created a tab bar controller and two view controllers for me as the template. So what I need is the list view controller or a table view controller and a view controller for creating a task. So I'm gonna delete the first thing and adding a new view controller. So this is how we create views. This little box here is called the object library, and it will list all the objects we can use inside the storyboard. So this is just for guys who are not familiar with Xcode. Okay. So I'm setting it as the view controller, and this will be the second view controller. I'm just embedding these two views in a navigation controller so that I can get a navigation bar. It's just for the UI thing. Okay. So now I'm just deleting Xcode generated classes. So we need two classes, one to handle the list and one to create the new task. Okay. So I'm gonna create two new files. This time I'm not creating a Swift file, I'm creating a Cocotouch file. Okay. So first one is a list view controller or a table view controller. So I'm inheriting the UI table view controller class here. And I'm creating task list view controller. And the second one is a UI view controller. This one is for adding task. So the advantage of inheriting a UI table view controller is that a table view will have a set of data source and delegate methods. Okay. So those who are familiar with Objective-C might know. So these are the data source and delegate methods. Okay. So I can just use them directly. So for this demo, I don't need this much methods. I just need this method. This method is for configuring a cell. Table view cell for row at index path. And so we have created two new view controllers. So I'm gonna relate it to the views. So the first table view controller, I'm setting the class as task list view controller, and the second one I'm set as add task controller. So we can create the add task view controller now. Okay. So this is the add task. So we need two text fields to input values. So I'm gonna drag a text field here. So this one will be the task name, and I need another one. This is for task description. And I'm adding a button to create the task. So we have created the UI. Now we need to connect it to the classes. Okay. So connecting is again easy. So the first text field is the task name, right? So I can just write text field name. And the second one is the description. Oh. So I'm connecting the button. So you can see that we have something here. This is an outlet. So this is just a reference, and this is the action. So what action means that uh, it will inform the controller that some action is going on. That like we are touching a button. So touch up inside, and okay. So done. Okay. So let's move on to the list view controller. So this one is the task, and for the cell I'm using a subtitle cell so that I have a task and a description. Okay. Just increasing the size. So for a cell, what a table view does that is that it reuses the cells. So we need a reuse identifier. So we set the reuse identifier for the cell as k task cell. So that's it. So the first function in that task list view controller is that number of rows in section. Number of rows in section means the number of rows needed for a section. It will be equal to the number of tasks, right? Yeah. So we need to get the tasks. So we call the task manager. And we have created a singleton instance. I'm calling it shared manager. And task. And we are giving it the count. Okay. And for each cell, I'm going to set the correct reuse identifier. The reuse identifier I used was k task cell. And I'm going to get the task. So a task will be task manager dot shared manager dot tasks object rate index path dot draw. So this line, okay, this line gets the tasks for each cell, and from each task I am setting the cell dot text label dot text. So we have configured a cell and we have configured the entire list. So that's it. So now in the add task we can add task controller. So I have a function which will be executed when a user touches the button. So I need to create a task here. So to create a task, how will you create a task? We have already written the method here in the task manager to create a task. So we use that. So to use that, task manager dot shared manager dot add task. So from where will we get the name and the description? They are right here in the text fields. So we get it from the text fields. Okay. So the name will be text field name dot text, and the description will be text field description dot text. So now we have added the task, added a new task. First parameter is not necessary. So what? Okay, I'll just comment it out. Create and add a. So after creating and adding a new task, we need just to clean up the cells, clean up the text fields. So I'm just setting text field name dot text general and text field description dot text. And so after creating a task, I need to show the list. But list is the first selected index. So for I'm getting the tab bar controller. Tab bar controller dot selected index equal to 0. So we have written the code. Now just we can run and check the simulator. Sorry, my Mac is getting really slow. I think it's because of this projector. Oops. Okay, so we have two tabs. So one which is going to list the task, and one which is to create a new task. Yeah. So I'm going to type a name. So some task, some task description, and I'm clicking here and creating a new task, and it's listed in the cells. Yeah. So that's a basic thing. So if you want, I can continue. So for this text field, what happens when you click the return? Nothing is happening. So I need to dismiss the keyboard when we click on the return. So for that, in the main storyboard, we have some delegate methods for that. It's not hiding. Okay. So for the delegate, yeah. So I have set the delegate. Now we need to confirm the delegate. So to confirm that, can just use UI text field delegate, and text field delegate will have some methods. I'm going to use text field should return method, and in this method text field dot. I'm telling the text field to resend the responder. Okay. and I am returning yes. So when we click the return, the keyboard is dismissed. Okay. Hello. Okay. So keyboard. Hello. Keyboard is dismissed here. Okay. So that's all about the demo. So if you guys have any queries or doubts, you can just pop up, or if you want to add any new features, you can just tell and we can try. Do you guys want to see bridging? Okay. So what I'm going to try is that I'll add an Objective-C file. Objective-C file, yeah. Empty file. Yeah. Okay. Some. When I added the Objective-C files, Xcode is asking me whether to configure the Objective-C bridging header. Okay. So I'm clicking yes. So what happens is that Xcode has created a new Objective-C bridging header. So now Xcode has done it automatically for me. So what if Xcode doesn't do that and I need to create one thing, this file myself? It's just easy. I can create you can create a header file, and you need to set the name as project name hyphen bridging header. Yeah, and you need to set the path here. Objective-C bridging header path. Okay. Since Xcode has done it already for me, so I just need to what .m file. Oh, I haven't created a new Objective-C file using a Swift project. It has just created the .m file, so I'm not sure where to add the .h file. Any ideas? How to create a .h and .m file using the Swift project? Can just rename? Okay. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to subclass an NS object. Yeah. So in this Objective-C file, I'm going to create a what? Create a function. So for bridging, I need to bridge this Objective-C file into Swift. So I can just add the header here. Okay. So the Objective-C file is bridged into Swift. So now, okay, in this class, anywhere inside the Swift, I can call some Objective-C file. So this is the Objective-C class. See, Objective-C class, and I can access the do something method. Okay. Okay. So anything else? You want to see optionals? Okay. So in the task manager, I'm not setting the task as an optional value. I'm not doing so because the task manager will be a single object or a singleton object, and I'm initializing with an empty array. So it's supposed to have a value every time. So I'm just, for this demo purpose, I'm just setting it as an optional value. So this task can have a nil value or a value or an array. So since it is an optional value, we need to unwrap it and use it. Okay. So optional value. Okay. Okay. Optional chaining. This is called optional chaining. Okay. So what this lines means that if task has a value, it will call append. So if task is nil, it will just return. So here task manager dot shared manager dot task dot count will show an error because task can be nil. Okay. So what happens if task is nil? It will return a nil value, but it needs an integer value. So that's an error. So I'm going to use, first thing I'm going to use. So do you know what this operator is? Yeah. Nil collapsing operator. So what this means is that if we have a value for the count, it will use the count, or else it will return 0. Yeah, that's about optionals and optional chaining. Suppose if there is a case that we know, okay, that the optional value is not nil, like so this is another feature in SIFT. If let is it's called optional binding. So we are what unwrapping the optional value here and saving it to count. Okay. So inside this thing, task dot question mark doesn't exist. It means that task is is never nil. Okay. So I can write it like this. This operator unwraps the optional. Okay. It's not optional unwrapping, we are just unwrapping directly. So if you are unwrapping anything directly, we need to make sure that its value is never nil. Okay. So I can either do this or I can write directly the count because I'm saving the count here. Okay. So that's about optionals. Anything else? Any questions? Any questions? So can I wrap it up? Okay, I have added. So I have actually created a different project before, but Deepu thought it will be difficult for you guys to follow. So I have just created another one which is really easy. I'm not using any much of the Swift features here like mapping, anything else. So it's just like Objective-C. I'm just changing the syntax here. Okay, it's just for the newbies and it's not intended for Objective-C developers who are coming into Swift. So if you guys are interested, you can check the other code and this code in my GitHub. And I think you can just search up coffee at DBG on GitHub and you'll get this link. So this is the link for that. Okay. So I have 2 projects here. So if you guys have time, just check it out and give me a feedback. Okay. Okay. So that's it. Divichata.
Done. So we are done with the session. So it is also for making friends, Coffee DBG, just to know each other and know that there are more tech enthusiasts in other companies also. So just get introduced to each other and have networking. That's all. Thank you.